Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm coming to you today with some exciting news. Seekers of the Storm has gotten its first patch, and it's a long one. A lot was changed here. Honestly, could not have asked for a better response from Gearbox. I'm super pleased with this. We'll go through this, and then I'll give my thoughts on it in a bit. Hey everyone, we want to start off by mentioning how much we appreciate folks jumping in and giving Seekers of the Storm a swing. We've never had so many people playing Risk of Rain 2. We also hear you loud and clear. This DLC fell short of your expectations. That feedback is fair. We'd like to take a moment and walk everyone through our plan to make it right. First, to be clear, we're committed to making the DLC everything you expected and deserve. The team already jumped in and knocked out solutions for a bunch of the bugs some users are reporting. The full patch notes can be found below. Here are a few highlights. Resolved the bug with the way builds are compiled that occasionally led to behaviors being erroneously tied to FPS. That's a big one. Addressed an issue that some users reported with items not being picked up when interacted with. I have not experienced that one myself personally, but I have seen a lot of clips of that. Mithrix will no longer become nearly invincible upon stealing a player's Warped Echo. Thank God they fixed that. This is the first step. These patches will continue to roll out on a regular basis as we work on additional fixes. Yes! Very happy to hear that they're planning on doing multiple fixes. Beyond bugs, the team is also looking closely at your gameplay feedback. We want Seekers of the Storm to be the best possible version of itself, and that involves listening to the community. While we're focused on bugs for now, we're looking to implement more of those gameplay updates in future patches, which is great. I think there's a lot of things in this expansion that have potential, but could probably be reworked. A lot of the items I would like to see just get the old Ben's raincoat treatment just completely changed. But obviously, I think the bug fixes are more important for right now. Lastly, we are going to post notes with the release of every patch starting today. That way it will be clear which fixes are arriving. Sometimes we'll fix a bug that inadvertently changes something else, and we appreciate you continuing to share feedback when those issues arise. This is a game that countless people love. Anything that jeopardizes that experience is something we take very seriously. We hope that in the coming days and weeks we can earn your trust, and we know that's going to take time and action. Thanks for now, the Risk of Rain team. Really good statement from Gearbox. I wasn't expecting anything like this. I was totally wrong, and I'm extremely happy to be wrong. And then we're just going to go through the patch notes, and there's a lot. There's quite a bit that has been patched here. Obviously, the big one being the FPS one. Resolved the bug with the way builds are compiled that led to many behaviors being erroneously tied to FPS. These elements included physics, attack speed, and movement. This was not a result of any significant architecture changes to the game. The bug that created this issue has been addressed. That is amazing to hear. The FPS issue was big, and I'm not sure because I've heard a lot of conflicting things about it in the past couple days. It says physics, attack speed, and movement. I've also heard that the director is tied into it, and I know enemies AI is for sure. I hope those things are fixed as well, even though they're not specifically mentioned. I can only hope, but it's also good to hear that it's not an architectural change to the game. But it's also good to hear that it was not an architectural change to the game. I was sitting here thinking the game functioned on a completely different level, and it seems like I was wrong on that, so again, happy to be wrong. Addressed an issue players reported where Mithrix would become invincible on stealing your Warped Echo. Beautiful. I think Chronic Expansion also. But it's great to hear they fixed the invincible Mithrix. Teleporter will no longer spawn inside Geometry on Rally Point Delta. That's good. I wonder if they open the crate or just move the teleporter out of it. I hope they open that crate. Rest in peace, that crate. Love that crate. Acrid's utility skills, both Caustic Leap and Frenzied Leap, were not dealing damage or colliding properly. Acrid should be back in action. That's amazing. Resolved an issue reported by some users with items not being picked up when interacted with. Despite not being picked up, some players would receive large number of stacks of the item anyway. Both parts of this issue are now resolved. Oh yeah, I've seen clips of this where you get 10,000 of an item, you just keep picking it up over and over and over again. That's amazing. I kind of wish I got to experience that at least once. Item highlights have now returned to various shops and adaptive chests. Yes. Thank you. You'll no longer be able to escape shattered abodes, at least in the way we didn't intend. Still unclear what that means. I talked about that in the last update. We've restored full screen damage indicator and low health feedback. Thank you. I'm hoping the health bars are back to normal. An issue that caused some players to get stuck while smelling the flowers on a reformed altar has been resolved. They said that in the last update, and I still don't know what it means. Long-standing Solitude will no longer sometimes show pinged interactables at twice the cost. The portal will no longer spawn inside Geometry in Bulwark's Ambry. Health bars were being updated very slowly. That has now been resolved. Yes, anything that has to do with fixing the health bars I like. Halconite's spawn animation was playing at lower than expected frame rates. He won't be jittery anymore when spawning in, which I love to hear. That's great news. I assumed this was just like he was rushed and they didn't have a lot of frames in his animation, but no, that was actually a bug, and he's not going to be jittery anymore. We've resolved the bug with Seeker's Sojourn ability that sometimes blocked non-host players from using it. Players are now able to pick up Chef's food from farther away. That's awesome. We've rolled out a change to the Halcoin beacon texture on Gilded Coast. The team is going to continue monitoring this one. There may be more changes coming on this front. That's good. Really love to see that. That was an issue where they would be like, can you see it here? Kind of hard. Where it'll be like half activated, half not activated. Not a huge deal though. Loader's Knuckle Boom VFX has been realigned. Great. We've restored an issue. Some players reported that Survivor VFX in the character select screen overlapped with the ready button. Yeah, it was. I think we're getting into some of the kind of more minor stuff now. Fixed an issue with Bolstering Lantern where the logbook unlock highlighting no longer was clearing after viewing the unlock. Oh, I know there's a mod that fixed that one specifically. Solved an issue where the item count displayed on the tab menu in multiplayer sessions would show 1 for some players despite not having any items. What? See, I don't even know a lot of these bugs. Some of these are very new to me. Resolved an issue where Sojourn would sometimes fail to trigger when colliding with monsters or geometry. Oh, it was just failing to trigger. So I think what's supposed to happen with that ability is if you collide with a monster, it's supposed to take you out of Sojourn. So that is honestly a little bit of a nerf to Sojourn, which is good. Sojourn is ridiculous the more I've used it. I would like to see some general changes with that as well. Change to the visual effects on the initial jump pads on Meridian to convey better to players from a distance. And then it looks like you have the before and after here, and you can definitely see this one a lot better. I think this one just fits the theme of the map better, so that's a great change. Resolved an issue that led to Imp Overlord's Void Spike ability sometimes not dealing damage. I assume that's when he just throws it on the ground and you can just walk through it. Addressed an issue reported by some players on Prime Meridian where lightning would spawn on top of players during the False Sun cutscene. Yeah, I saw a clip where people were getting ready to fight the False Sun and then they just got destroyed by meteors while in the cutscene. Resolved an issue where the Scorch Worm, they misspelled worm here, supposed to be a U, I'm pretty sure, snapped 90 degrees right before attacking. Gaining multiple warped echoes on Heretic led to infinite stacks of the item buff being applied to the player. This has been resolved. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even know about that. That's great. Saroni's Whispers has had an issue where the drop chances would become extremely high, especially later into the runs. I mean, it's an issue for sure. I don't think that was a bug. This has been rebalanced to be more realistic. Elite item drop chance went from 15% to 4%, and from 5 per stack to 1 per stack, which is a big change. Honestly needed though. That item was insane and still is going to be insane, but is definitely going to be more balanced with the 4%. Still doesn't counter stuff like going into Gilded Coast or Void Fields and just like hanging out there and killing elite enemies until you have a god build a la 24 hours on stage 1 style. But regardless, this is a great change, and it's good to see some of these balance changes. I would like to see more of these. Solved an issue where the music would stop if a player opened the logbook and clicked on an item during the run. That's great. Addressed an issue that reported some players were entering Prime Meridian cutscene with more than 4 players, resulted in a soft lock. To make it clear, more than 4-player co-op is still not officially supported. We just wanted to address this anyway because we know many players will still opt to unlock max lobby size with convars, which is great. I love to see them making those kinds of changes. Any kind of soft lock is not good for the game, even if it is in an unofficially supported, like, more than 4-player multiplayer lobby. Teleporters should no longer be able to spawn within Halconite shrines. I still have no idea how to pronounce that. Resolved an issue where some players without Seekers of the Storm could become soft-locked by not being able to interact with Shrine of Rebirth on defeating False Sun. A lot of False Sun changes here. Chef has had some item placements moved, whereas items were displayed on his character model when picked up, to avoid clipping with other items and parts of his model. I hope they took a few off his roller, because that's not my favorite when they just stick them all on the roller. Addressed an issue with Railgunner's concussion device, Utility Mine, where it would not detonate on its own. It will now detonate after a few seconds like normal. Oh, I have not experienced this. Oh, that's so funny. They got the little sad face there. Resolved an issue reported by some players where sometimes skills wouldn't activate when pressed. This ended up being a byproduct of the FPS-related issues we outlined above. Both are now solved. Addressed a bug that allowed players to permanently fire False Sun's Laser of the Father ability. No. It will now go on cooldown after fired for 4 seconds. That's, I mean, it's good, but that was one of the most busted bugs in the entire expansion. Increase the intensity of the VFX for Chef's dice ability. This should make it easier to spot when thrown a far distance out. And they have the before and after. That is a good change. I hope they just rework this ability, man. The only being able to have 3 cleavers just feels bad. Give us infinite. Like, don't give us a cooldown on it. Just make it like Commando's primary, you know? Let us throw out as many cleavers as we want. I did test this out a little bit before making this, and it does feel a bit better, but I still just want to see him rework this ability. Addressed an issue where players would be unable to input actions for Seeker's Meditate ability while having both mouse and keyboard and a controller plugged in at the same time. Resolved an issue where sometimes Chef's dice couldn't be recalled while at either unlimited or under 30 FPS. That issue is part of the FPS tied mechanics issues above. Both have been resolved. Wow. A lot is tied to FPS here. Addressed an issue where Acrid was no longer able to hit enemies or spread his poison using Epidemic. I love how they clarify here. Special poison blob attack. That really clear. Thank you. Solved an issue where the Crowdfunder would stop firing if frame rate fell under 30 FPS. I didn't even know about that. That sounds horrible. This was also part of the FPS tied mechanics above. Both issues have been resolved. Acrid's Frenzied Leap now properly negates fall damage from falling from large heights. Addressed an issue where standing behind Mithrix while entering Phase 4 results in him losing aggression towards the player temporarily. Parents had an issue where they would attempt to navigate to the player but get stuck in a navigation node. That issue has now been fixed. We are tracking broadly similar behavior with some other monsters, but none were nearly as severe as the parents were. That's good. I've noticed that as well. I feel like all of the enemies just got stupider with this update, so it's good to know that they're taking a look at that. We're aware of False Sun's downward plunge attack not behaving as intended. We're currently working to address this issue, but we did not want to hinder the release of additional changes. I'm kind of unclear whether they're talking about False Sun the Survivor or False Sun the Boss. I'm kind of unsure on that, but man, this was a great patch from Gearbox. Still need to play it. Jury is not fully out on it, but man, I was wrong. I was completely wrong in my previous videos. I didn't have a lot of faith in Gearbox. Historically, they have not done a great job patching and updating this game. So I did not expect a ton going in here, but sounds like they're listening, and I could have not asked for a better response from Gearbox. Well done. I am excited to see the other changes, and hopefully the game's in a pretty good spot right now. You know, this alongside all of the community bugs, we were playing some of those last night, I think the game can get back to a really good spot. It's really reassuring to hear that Gearbox is listening and they're not just going to abandon the game like a lot of us thought they would. I've got egg on my face here, but I'm extremely happy about it. I know I said the last video would be my my last update until the patch. Had no idea the patch was coming out 2 days later, so that was kind of unfortunate on my part. Man, they got this one out really fast. And this right now is only for PC, but I've heard it's also been done for console as well. For console, there's just a lot of bureaucracy involved, and they have to like check it and make sure it's good. Where on Steam, you can just put a patch out instantly. Fear not, console players, you will be getting this pretty soon, I imagine. But that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to stay up to date on all of the latest Risk of Rain news and Doom posting. Probably not going to Doom post as much anymore. We kind of went off the rails last week. But that's going to be it. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.